Alright, Cap Nation, we gotta talk about Captain America's changes in the upcoming patch for Season 2.5 and the release of Ultron. So, Cap is getting changes, and none of them are good. They're all gonna be nerfs to him, which suck, and I'm gonna be talking about my first impressions and thoughts on these. So, as a Day 1 Captain America player, I understood some of the nerfs, like the mid-season nerf to his HP when he had 750. Like, that was kind of crazy. I understood why they nerfed that. But they nerfed it again. So, his base health is going from 600 to 575. And I understand that he has the Bucky team up, so that's going to be still a plus 100. They're not removing that team up from the game. And his HP will be the same as it was in Season 1.5, which is still good. But it's the fact that they nerfed it for a third consecutive time in one season. They nerfed it in the beginning of Season 2, right? Then they nerfed it again in the mid-season patch, or whatever patch it was, like 3 weeks ago, right? That smaller patch. And then they're going to nerf it again. So 3 consecutive nerfs to his HP. I don't think any other character has been nerfed that much to one stat in a single season. I could be wrong, but this is a lot of nerfs to his HP. So his HP is going to be not 700 anymore. I only got to play 750 HP cap for like 2 weeks before they took it away from me, and now they're going to take away 700 HP cap away from me. So his base health is gone, right? But I can still understand the nerf. I was like, okay, if this was the only change, I'd be fine with it. But that's not all, because they're also going to increase the delay of the shield recovery, aka the cooldown, from 2 to 4 seconds after releasing Living Legends, or unleashing Living Legend, which is his shield. And his shield is a big part of his gameplay, obviously, and they already nerfed the shield from 400 to 350. So his HP is the lowest it's been in a long time, and increasing the cooldown on it by 50% is massive. That is really going to suck for Cap, because even with the 2-second cooldown, right, if your shield is taking a lot of damage, which it does, it's not going to regenerate its HP fast enough. So even if you do pull it up after 2 seconds, it's not like you have that much health on it. So reducing it or increasing it to 4 seconds is crazy. Like 50% cooldown, and 2 seconds doesn't seem like a lot, but in a game like Marvel Rivals where cooldowns matter, seconds matter, time matters, that's a big deal. So this is probably the worst nerf out of these, in my opinion, because again, I would have been fine with the HP nerf, but the fact that they're going to increase the cooldown on it is crazy. So Cap's shield is the worst it's ever been, not only having lower HP, but even more cooldown. And then lastly, they're going to increase the energy cost of Freedom Charge, his ultimate, from 2800 to 3100. So 3100 was what it was back then, and they buffed it to 2800, but now they're just going to nerf it again. So it's like it's like getting something for Christmas. You're getting a nice gift, right? Shoes, whatever it might be, a new console, right? And then next year or a few months later, they take it away from you or something. That's what it feels like, because they buffed the ult just to nerf it again. And I understand Rivals is a game where they're going to nerf and buff things. I understand that. And there's a lot of changes that are going to happen. I understand that. But damn, man, this really sucks for Cap mains, because Cap's whole thing, besides, diving the backline and being a brawler, is his survivability. So they're going to be nerfing his survivability by a lot. They're saying a slight hit, but this is a big hit to his survivability, And, I'm not going to drop him. He's my boy. I've been maining since day 1, but this really sucks. And another thing I hate about it is that, the devs, they are very transparent with the community. They will listen to the community, which is good, obviously. But it could also be a bad thing, because if you listen too much to the community, there's other games that do this, but they listen a little bit too much to the whiners and the complainers, in my opinion. Take Rocket's ult, for example. Rocket's ult is like the prime example of that. Rocket, who I never thought was ever that bad before his ult got, buffed, where it now heals now. But even when it wasn't healing and it was just doing the damage boost, I always thought it had a place. There were strategies with it, like Venom ults, you can combo and kill stuff better. But so many people hated Rocket. They would complain constantly saying, Rocket's ult sucks, it's not Luna's ult, And I was fine with it being that way, because a strategist is not just a healer. It's called a strategist role for a reason. It's not just healer. So everybody thought that because his ult didn't heal, it sucked, and everybody hated these Rocket players. They would flame these Rocket players, and now that Rocket's ult is good now, and actually, well, to them it's good now, and it heals, they're like, oh, okay, it's fine. But that change only happened because so many people complained. So it's a similar thing with Cap here, to where people are complaining about Captain America, but the difference in this is Captain America is nowhere near as common as Rocket, even back then, when Rocket didn't have that ult change, right? Cap is still a relatively, niche tank. Like, he's not a good solo tank. He can't really solo tank by himself. And at least in my personal experience, a lot of the time, I'm the only Cap in the whole game. There might be another Cap in the other team. I mean, obviously, people have been playing him more after the buffs he gotten before. But, he's still not the most dominant tank. He's one of the best dive tanks. I think he is the best dive tank. But there's other dive tanks and there's other dive characters, you know, and yeah, I just think the devs listen too much to the complainers. That's just me though. I know people are gonna disagree because this community is very, you know, it's a lot of opinions and some people are very toxic about it. These are just my thoughts. I'm not gonna flame anyone who disagrees, but yeah, it's just it sucks. It really does suck. So Cap is he's gonna feel this nerf for sure. I mean, last season or last patch, he definitely felt it, but this one is really gonna. I mean, some people might think this might gut Cap because I don't know. They're trying to nerf dive a lot, and dive meta I think is fun. Obviously, as a dive player, I'm biased, but I've said it before. But I personally think if dive is bad, then it makes strategist roles a little bit too easy, if that makes sense. Because in my personal opinion, strategist is the easiest role overall. I know that's controversial, but that's just my opinion. So if you nerf dive too much, then strategists are not really going to feel that much pressure. So I understand they're trying to change the meta to make it more like a pokey meta, or you know, more of a frontline tank meta, which is fine. But I don't think they should have nerfed Cap this much, especially this damn shield change. Like 2 to 4 seconds is crazy. Because again, even if you had before, 2 seconds felt like an eternity. You know, you would pull it up, and then even when you do pull it up after 2 seconds, it would be still regenerating health. And then by the time, you know, you take all these shots, it's going to be out of HP. So his shield is a very limited resource that now is even more limited. His HP is nerfed. The ult is back to what it was. So just really unfortunate changes for Cap. And, you know, he's my most played hero, so I'm very passionate about the man. He's one of my favorite superheroes. So it sucks when your character gets nerfed, obviously. Nobody wants their character to be nerfed. And, you know, the icing on the cake for, I guess, some people, I guess, not for me, but is the fact that they buffed Hela and Hawkeye. So not only you're nerfing Cap, you're buffing Hela and Hawkeye, who are already so good. Like, especially Hawkeye. Hawkeye is super underrated. People, I guess, just don't play him because he's got a high skill ceiling with the headshots. But if you know how to aim with that dude, he is cracked. And they're buffing him yet again, and Hela again. Like, Hela is already top 5 DPS. She's been top 5 DPS for a long time, and they're buffing her. So I just feel like the devs, one problem, the first one I said earlier, they listen too much to the crybabies, right? And then 2, they're biased. They're very, very biased. They show their bias to certain characters like Hela and Hawkeye. Luna, for example. I mean, why does Hawkeye get an ice arrow now as a team up? Like, he's already so good. Now you're giving him an arrow that can pierce terrain cover and does more damage the farther he is. And it freezes them. And he can headshot them. Like, that's just ridiculous to me. It's crazy. It's... I don't know about you guys, but that just sounds insane. Like, I don't understand the buffs to Hawkeye or Hela. I mean, Hela's is a little bit... it's not as crazy, I guess, but still they're buffing, I think, one of her abilities. So it's mind-boggling to me. I just don't understand why they buff certain characters and then they nerf certain characters, especially after you buff them a lot, because it felt like at the beginning of this game, you know, Captain America was getting all the love. You know, back in the day, he couldn't even hold his shield while jumping, which was crazy, and they're like, okay, we'll give him that. You know, it was kind of dumb he didn't have that release. They give him other buffs, like his dash has less cooldown, you know, and all this stuff, and then they take it away from me. It's frustrating, but I'm still going to play Cap for sure, but he's going to be noticeably weaker this season for sure, along with the other dive characters. Even if, like, Black Panther isn't necessarily nerfed, because I don't think he's been nerfed directly. You know, all the stuff that's coming up is just going to be really hard for him. Even Psylocke, my girl, you know, my main DPS is also getting nerfed. Hers isn't as bad as Cap's, but she's getting nerfed as well, even though I think she was in a good spot. Like, she wasn't the most common DPS either. She wasn't, like, destroying everyone like Hela. You know, so I just don't understand why Hela's getting buffed. I've said that like 10 times in this video. But yeah, this is basically like a rant video and obviously my thoughts on the changes, mainly for Cap. You can see the patch notes in full here, but yeah, it's frustrating. I guess there's always a possibility in the future seasons they'll buff him up again. But yeah, just too many people complain about Cap, mainly strategist players, because I mean that's who Cap is he's gonna dive them. He's best at taking those people out. And he can scrap with other characters, obviously, but, you know, dive is a meta that I enjoyed, and it sucks that they're taking it away. But, yeah, I mean, let me know what you guys think, especially the Captain America players, especially those who've been playing him for a long time, because I know there's a lot of newer Cap players, and not everybody played him in day one like me. But I'd like to know you guys' thoughts, and those are mine. So, yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed. Please stay safe out there. Peace out.